The insanity of Gojo and Sukuna continues, and it looks like it all comes down to a few moments, as we'll see. So make sure to stay tuned for this epic chapter. Smash that like button if you enjoy seeing these weekly Jujutsu Kaisen reviews on the channel and want to keep them coming. Join the special grade fam if you haven't already by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications so you don't miss future Jujutsu Kaisen videos and updates. And now without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. So the chapter itself starts with a hype question, with the question of who here has ever been seriously punched by Gojo. I like how Panda says he seriously punched Gojo before but didn't end up touching him. Of course, the very strong Hakari and special grade Yuta are the only ones who Gojo actually did seriously punch, and if you remember, these two have the potential to rival Gojo's power one day according to Gojo, so it's not surprising that he'd only serious punch the best. Sounds like I'm talking about One Punch Man now. But anyways, Yuta even says, if by seriously punched you mean taken a blow from his limitless technique, then I have. Gojo's fist is enhanced with curse energy, and at the moment of impact, blue repeatedly absorbs the surrounding space. Hakari is the one who says that doesn't just make Gojo's punches stronger. It feels like you've been clocked by a counterattack after preparing for a regular blow. He says it's the absolute worst. When asked a seemingly ridiculous question whether or not it hurt, they both look down, sweating, and say it made them puke. Yuji points out that my boy Nanami had mentioned something about that as well. He said to Yuji if he intends on continuing as a sorcerer, he should make a point of not comparing himself to Gojo. He said Gojo is able to produce critical hits as if they're your run-of-the-mill jab, while Nanami struggled to perform them in the first place. He told Yuji, to put it bluntly, nobody can keep up with Gojo. Kusakabe says what he's trying to say is that from here on out, he doesn't have a clue what Gojo's doing, so don't ask. For me, that whole section of the chapter pumped up how strong Gojo's punches are and how strong Sukuna is for being able to take them. But more importantly, hopefully it's building up for helping to explain how Gojo will end Sukuna with a single one of these insane critical hit punches. We then see Gojo going ham. He looks like a kid in a candy store with a big smile spread across his face. It's hilarious. Sukuna is getting hurt punch after punch while Gojo is smiling the whole time, loving life. Right now, Gojo definitely looks in control, but we know in this fight how quickly that can change. He's hitting Sukuna, and when not, Sukuna is dodging him. Then from the looks of it, Gojo is moving so fast he's creating after images, yet Sukuna still manages after taking all that damage to grab Gojo's fist and to throw a punch himself. Love how Gojo just says whoopsie while still smiling. He blocks the punch with his own hand, but you can tell how much force it carried from the manga panel as Gojo's face is pushed back a lot, even though his hand is in front of his face. Now in retrospect, that did also look like the clone technique that we saw from the bag mask curse user during the Gojo flashback, and Gojo was impressed by this technique but just not by the user, so it could be possible that he learned to do it somehow, or like I said, it was just moving quickly. But it would be a little disappointing if he did learn to use that technique that he hyped up and then it was literally over in like a second and it didn't accomplish anything. So let me know if you think it was actually just moving fast or a clone technique. But Gojo really is just like a kid having fun, and he moves from this attack to backflipping and landing on a traffic light. This must be the most fun Gojo has had since Toji pushed him to evolve to the next level. However, in that fight, he easily won after he did evolve, while here he is evolved and is still able to go full out. So I think he's having the most fun ever, probably. Then something is mentioned that shouldn't be surprising since I spoke about it in the last chapter review. It said the word treasure used in the chant to manifest Mahoraga, along with that wheel, represents complete circulation and harmony. Once Mahoraga has been attacked, the wheel turns, starting the adaptation. We see the wheel spinning above Sukuna. It's noted that it's spinning, and the question is raised, did he adapt already? Now Gojo has noticed that when Sukuna uses domain amplification to be able to touch Gojo, the wheel turns black. So he thinks to himself that it's safe to assume that it interrupts any adaptation process. So he can't activate his domain, but he can use amplification, probably because the area of the brain that Gojo hit was in charge of barrier techniques. And then Sukuna, for his part, thinks to himself, in order to avoid the adaptation, he isn't using anything aside from his curse technique lapse. Well, that's to be expected. Then I really like this part. We see what looks like the street light changing, and I'm guessing it's changing into green to signify go, and the fight continues again. That's awesome cinematography, and I think that's going to be awesome when animated. I can tell the author is having a lot of fun with this fight as well, just like Gojo is. The fight continues and Sukuna is now using a street light as a weapon and throwing it at Gojo. I suppose this can also be a way to combat Gojo's blue attraction technique so that he has to deal with the street lights before he can deliver a hit on Sukuna. Then it's pointed out that Sukuna isn't bringing out Mahoraga, and it's assumed that it's because it's adapted to Unlimited Void 5 times. Hakari asks if that means that it needs to turn several times in order to adapt to Gojo's limitless technique. And it's pointed out that it's possible considering how little regard those two have for what's impossible. And I like the way that was phrased. Now the two fighters, Sukuna and Gojo, are chill again for a minute before the fight continues again. Gojo says, "You need 4 spins total, yeah?" That leaves 3 more. 3 more spins of the wheel until Mahoraga adapts to Gojo's infinity. And everyone's like, yo, panicked exclamation marks everywhere because they don't think that's much. Even Yuji is like, just 3 spins left. Sukuna laughs, saying, "Looks like we have ourselves a countdown to when the smirk will be wiped off your face, that is." And Gojo smiles back hilariously, saying, "Right back at ya." With a great big smile on his face, he says, "I'll beat you dead before you even hit 3 spins. And again, I love seeing Gojo having so much fun. It's one of my favorite aspects of this fight for sure. Then comes another hilarious moment. Hana asks, "Gojo hasn't forgotten about Megumi, has he?" And Yuji replies, "He might have, since Gojo seems so lost in the joy of the fight right now." I remember reading one comment saying Gojo is far stronger and Sukuna had to rely on Megumi and Mahoraga to stand a chance. And although that's a good point, it remains that Sukuna had the power to do that, and because of that, I don't think we can really hold it against him. The dude is good at strategizing and it's within his powers, so still, it makes for an interesting fight nonetheless. But now we finally know that this most epic of epic fights is about to end, and that's all we had to hear for every next chapter and move to be more intense, because as the narrator tells us at the end of the chapter, the deadly clock countdown has begun. And giving a countdown like that is always a way to build intensity. Another epic chapter of the most epic fight, and as I thought, Mahoraga's adaptation ability would be an important factor, and of course it was. I obviously want Gojo to win because he's Gojo, he's hype, and I like the character more. But you gotta admit, it will kill a lot of the drama if Gojo gets the W without even dying and Sukuna is gone as a threat. So I feel like if anything, Gojo might actually be in trouble from a storytelling perspective. But we'll see what happens. Let me know if you think we'll make it to 3 spins or if you think Gojo will win before that. What does seem pretty clear though is that both of these guys have probably never been in a more difficult fight. That is hype in and of itself, and I'm hoping it means we'll get to see everything each one has under their sleeves before it's over. So can't wait for that, can't wait to learn more about these already super strong characters and their strongest moves. If you enjoyed this review and want to keep them coming, you know what to do. Smash that like button with no mercy. If you haven't, join the special grade fam by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications so you don't miss future Jujutsu Kaisen videos like this one. And as always, place your bets. Has your opinion changed? Who will win the fight? Gojo or Sukuna? Place your bets in the comments below. But you gotta give it to Sukuna. He's a very strong and good villain, but not the final villain. If you want to know who that is, check out our new video, Yuji's Mom is the Final Villain. Link on screen right now, and I'll see you there.